Once again, it's time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seat. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast Show. Yeehaw!
Hey folks, Dave in the AM here with the Southern Fried Podcast and the Cornbread Nation. For many weeks now, me and Rob have been telling you about our affiliation with Dubby Energy Drinks. I've been drinking some of them on the show, and I just got in today the powder version, and this is the Pond Blom version of this. And hey, I tell you that it gives you the focus and the energy without the jitters or the crash. There's no sugars, no fillers, no artificial dyes. So get you some Dubby today. Use the promo code Southern Fried, and you'll get 10% off each and every order. Not only can you get the energy drinks, but you can also get some cool merch items. In fact, soon we're going to have a hat to show you as an example of some of those things. There's shirts and other things you can get as well as containers to mix up the powder and the water into that you can carry with you. We appreciate your support of the Southern Fried Podcast and also of Dubby Energy Drinks. We'll see you again soon. Take care. All right, Dave and Dean with the Southern Fried Racing Hour, the initial show, and I'm going to have to move that over because we wanted that over there. And Dean, welcome to the program.
Hey, how you doing?
This is Dean Potts, a co-worker and a big race fan.
Yes, sir, I am. Yes.
He's not a. I'm trying to think of who a bad boy was. You're not a fan of the Burtons or anything like that.
No. I like the Burtons, but I wasn't a big fan of them.
You like Chase Elliott, right?
Oh, yes.
Chase Elliott. Well, it's a new show for us, and we talked about this some time ago, and we're excited about doing it. And, when you got the Daytona 500 staring you in the face, that's always fun to do, to talk about. Love the Daytona 500. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. I think you got to watch the Thursday night as well.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
I did not see that. I was busy doing a show at the time. So if you want to comment on that, it's good. And we'll talk about, the teams are kind of, the whole show could be used up just talking about teams, but, we'll look at the results and we'll talk about a few things about that. And then we'll look at it the next week and, and kind of get you going. This is the initial program, so it's new for us. It's new for Dean. You've never done a podcast before.
I haven't.
Yeah. Welcome to the podcast world. We're excited about that, and we're glad you're here, Dean. And so how long have you been let's talk about you for a second, tell your story. How long have you been a race car fan, like a racing fan?
Well, I started liking the sport when my cousin was dirt racing.
Okay. That was locally around the Chattanooga area?
Yes, he was a dirt racer at Boyd's, North Georgia, Cleveland.
A lot of good dirt track racing around here. In fact, some of the big boys have came down and raced at some of those. Especially up at Cleveland. I know your Tony Stewarts of the world. I remember they've talked about coming down in the area. So I've been a race car fan, NASCAR fan. I like a little Indy, but really it's NASCAR. Since the early 70s, I was a big Richard Petty fan, Buddy Baker, David Pearson, Bobby Allison, Kel Yarborough, all those guys. And then later on it became Ernie Irvin. I don't know if you remember Ernie.
Yes.
I liked Ernie Irvin, and I liked Davey Allison. Rest in peace, Davey Allison. Adam Petty, another one, because I wanted to see that. Kyle Petty, he never was the best race car driver. He does a great job with kids.
No, he wasn't. He tried to be like his dad. He tried.
Like
Dale Jr. tried to be like Dale Sr.
Yeah.
But there's no comparison to the two.
No comparison. So, unfortunately, they passed away in wrecks on the track. Thankfully, that hasn't happened in quite a while that I know of, except for maybe some other levels of racing. But in NASCAR, and then of course, you get up and Dale Jr. and unfortunately Dale, passing away in the wreck, really devastated the sport. And they've done a good job. I think there's a lot of people don't like things that NASCAR are doing. I have to be one of those. I say that sometimes.
I do too.
But I do think they've got a great crop of young race car drivers that have come along. And of course, some of the guys are giving away, like Jeff Gordon and others. They're becoming announcers. And you've got these young drivers. Some of them ain't but 20, 21, 22 years old. And they're racing in this big, American race, the Daytona 500. I just think that's interesting. So, why did you like Chase Elliott? What about Chase Elliott?
He's from Georgia.
Okay.
The North Georgia area. And I was a big Casey Kane fan.
Okay.
When Casey got out of NASCAR.
I rooted for him a little bit.
I had to pick a Georgia driver. And Bill was a good driver. So I thought, well, Chase would be a good driver.
Yeah, I agree. And, Awesome Bill from Dawsonville, he was voted fan favorite race car driver, I think, for, 12, 14 years in a row or something like that. But, yeah, Chase has done well. There's a lot of other ones that have came along and, really set the sport on fire. And, again, I'm a Southern guy, and it kind of stopped being really just a Southern sport. And we called this the Southern Fried Racing Hour. The Southern Fried. We're going to have a mythical racing for the year. We'll start that next week. We'll give you results on our mythical Southern Fried Racing 500.
Okay.
Which is really off of Dean, the old Southern 500.
Yes.
And they stole that from us. That we don't have it. They wanted to do away with the Southern images and everything. I'm sorry, you can't take that away from me. I like the Southern 500.
I do too.
So we still have it. It's the Southern 500. If you look up there on the screen, that's what it says. Southern at the bottom, 500. So we like our Southern Fried here at Southern Fried Podcast. For those that don't know me, I'm part of a team of folks that we've been on about, May will be 1 year. And we do a sports show, but we wanted to, football's over and baseball's coming. I said, Dean, what about a racing show? And he was all for it. So yes. I'm glad you're here. So welcome to the program. And we'll be with you each week. It may flip which day it does it. We'll record it. We may go live some. We've had some sound issues with my new system, but we're working off the laptop. And hopefully it's good. So if it's not, you'll never see this because I'll never load it up. I think it's okay. We're looking good, but maybe we don't look good, but we're looking good on the program,
Right.
But I'm not say for you, but I know I don't.
I don't either. I got maybe a face for video. That's it.
Shout out to your mom. I know she's going to watch. And what's her first name?
Kay.
All right. Well, welcome. Thanks for watching, and I hope you will enjoy what we do here. And we're family friendly. We like to have a little fun on the program. We do a lot of different kinds of shows, but we're closing in on 800 total videos that we've done so far. Some are short, some are long, but we have a schedule that we have other shows that are live through the week, and looking forward to being a part of you being a part of the Southern Fried family. You're now part of crew here.
There you go.
For this program, you're my co-host, and others may come along and join us, and that'd be fine.
More the merrier.
But you are the co-host for this show, so we're going to run through the season. Well, let's talk about the Thursday racing. What did you think about that?
I thought it was very interesting. I thought it was out of this world. One of the best races I've seen in a long time.
Okay. And that sets the except for the trials, that sets the order, right? They still do that. I know they changed some of the rules. I didn't get to watch it, but that sets the order for the 500, except for the two that are speed. Win by speed.
Thursday was the duels.
Yeah, the duels, and
then a week
the twin 125 still, right? Is that
yes.
still? Yeah.
Yes.
And so they then they set the order for that, and then they'll have those that. I don't know if anybody got in by owner's points or anything or previous years.
No. Well, it's how you win, how you did last season.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks ago, it was the Clash at Daytona.
Right.
And it was exciting too.
everything about Daytona is big and exciting, and that's cool. I've never got to go, but that would be a nice week to take a vacation if you have the money. It's expensive, I'm sure, but to be able to go there and do the Daytona 500, you know, there's it's the Great American Race, and it's up there with anything that is out there. It was the 67th running, I believe, of the Daytona 500, and excited about that race week. Well, they something big happened at the race, you know.
Oh yeah,
Well, there was a
yes,
few big things, but the first big thing that happened was that, and he's caught some flack about it, but the president showed up for the
yes,
race.
yes.
Uh, we here at the Southern Fried, we're all for that. We like that the president showed up for it.
I do too. Yes.
He drove the bee. They drove the beast around the track some. You know, people online were haters. You know, there's a bunch of haters. They complained that it costs $5 million or something to do all that. Well, you know, it costs a lot to fly them planes over stadiums and a lot too, but that's just all part of it. It's all, you know, it's showing up and being there. Anything the president does is going to cost money. So, you know, just here's a crying towel is what
You're
I
right.
say.
I agree. I
You
agree.
know, I'm glad he came. I'm
I am
glad
too.
he's a sports fan. In fact, we do something called a MAGA minute, and we have puppets, and one of our puppets did the MAGA minute for this week. One of them, which was he was proud of the president for showing up, and I was glad he was there, and I hope he had a good time. I seen him shaking some hands and greeting people. He's great with people. He
He
really
is.
is.
He really is.
And well, he kicked off, and you know, Dean, it didn't take long for him to stop. I think 7 laps in or 9 laps.
I think it was like 11
Maybe it's
laps
11. Yeah,
and then a 4.5 hour red flag.
I know. I was sitting there after I got out of church. Well, actually, we didn't have the wind knocked out our power in our church, so we didn't have church. We just it was bad up on the mountain. The winds we had, and it knocked everybody's power out. And people were sick, and so we didn't have services. But I turned it on. I was ready for the race. And I'm like, rain delay.
Yeah. I,
They,
when it happened, I looked, I said, no, not again. This is like the fourth or fifth Daytona 500 that had a rain delay.
wow. You know, and that's tough on the drivers because, you know, you're ready to go. There's an order to things, how you get your team prepared and get, you know, and then you go and you're in the car, you're racing, then you get pulled out. And it really just messes everybody up. But that's the way it goes. But they got back to racing and, you know, so, you know, it looks like, you know, you know, they're running a pack. I mean, it is the super speedway and they get the draft going and they start pushing each other and you have some different leaders and switches that are going on with the race as it's going on. So what were some of the things that you liked about the race as it was going on? Some things that you noticed.
I enjoyed all of it. I can't sit here and name one thing. I
Okay.
enjoyed all of it. And it just blew my mind. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and with the super speedways, you're always waiting on the big wreck.
Yes, they had
And
at least maybe, I'm counting two big ones.
yeah, of course, some of the drivers that are usually at the top of the leaderboard, they got caught up in those, and it cost them a little bit in this first race. But you can recover from that. It's just one of those things that happens when you have those. I mean, they're amazing that they can race that close together. It takes a lot of precision
Oh, it
and a
does.
lot of trust in the guy beside you. You know that I mean they're inches apart. It just amazes me. We're living a time where the technology is amazing. They're able to have the cameras that they have under out the top of the car, the bumper, and inside, and watching the driver and how they fight that. That racetrack's amazing when you get in those corners. And you're looking straight down at the ground. You got to be running. What is their minimum speed? I think I always heard it was. Is it 70 miles an hour? I think you have to be or to go around.
I think it's,
You got to be above that, or you just slide down the track.
yes. Like the highest speed I remember seeing Sunday was close to 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, crazy, crazy. And holding those in line like that, and one little slip, tire going out or whatever. I was listening to one of the drivers. They were showing. I don't know if you saw that. If you were watching during the rain delay, they were showing a bad wreck that he was in, and he was talking about the next race he was in because it was a violent wreck. I mean, it was tore the car all to pieces. And he was talking about when he got back in the next race, for the first 10 laps, he said, because it was a blown tire that caused the wreck. He said for 10 laps, he said every little sound, it was like, is the tire going down? Am I going to have a wreck? Then he said after 10 laps, he said all went away. You get into the race, you're watching everything that's going on, and you just kind of push that out of your mind and go on. And
that same driver, Ryan Priest, he's a good driver.
Yeah.
When he raced last time at Daytona, he flipped it. I think it was like 13 times.
Yeah, that's the one they were showing.
And he flipped it again Sunday.
Oh, wow.
Did a wheelie.
I didn't see that
on the back tires, did a wheelie. And you knew it was going to go. You knew it was.
Yeah. Well, those speeds, when you wreck out, I mean, man, you're not going to stop right away. I mean, you're just moving. You just hope you can hold it, on 4 wheels or 2 wheels or whatever. But they have they have the flaps and all that come up and try to hold them down, which does an amazing job. Really, they do set them down, but you can get in certain positions. It don't matter what you do. The flaps ain't going to stop you flying through the air.
I might have seen one flap on that car that flipped Sunday. I might have seen one flap come up, but it didn't help it. It just went backward.
Crazy. Let's look at a couple of. I did make a couple of backgrounds up, and hopefully these are not too hard to see. But I wanted to look at the order here of. And we're looking on a smaller screen, and I know that small. I was trying to it's on 2 different slides, and I guess I could remove the banner just for a minute as we see that. And then in green up there, our winner, and then the points they get as they finish 41 points. And looks like the Toyotas had a really good day. Looks like the Toyotas were good, and the Chevys and Fords look like they were, for the most part. I mean, I know. When you look at the winner and everything, but there's a lot of Toyotas in that top 10. So they seem like they got it going. But there is, there's 2 Fords and 2 Chevys. So the rest, or was that 3 Fords? But then the rest were Toyotas. And, I was watching something on there. It was an article online, and they were talking about the problem that Chevrolet has is, their body style. I mean, they don't even make that car anymore.
No, they don't. They took the Camaro off that car on the back of it.
Yeah, it just says Chevrolet.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. But, they like the car. But the whole idea I thought with racing was that the car that was that you raced was kind of used in marketing, because
it was.
You'd go to the dealership, get you a Chevy, get you a Ford, whatever. And they got the Camaro, which someone said they need to bring it back. I don't know. Maybe there's a plan to do that who knows? But
it used to be. What was it? Win on Sunday.
Yeah.
Buy on Monday.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if somebody wins. I mean, that should you should be able to sell off of that or market off of that. But I guess you can go buy a Chevy. I mean, because they don't say Camaros, but. You're not going to, and I know they never looked exactly like the car that was, at the showroom, but they had similarities to the body style. But now everything's so different. We really did live through a golden age of racing. And,
yes, we did.
With the cars and the chrome they had. I mean, every guy has drove a car down the road and you kind of felt like, maybe on the interstate and he's doing, I don't know, 85 in the turn or something. He probably in his mind, he's thinking I'm racing, even though he knows that's not truth, but I guess you could say for the interstate he is, or maybe 95. I don't.
Well, I imagine myself sometimes doing that.
Yeah, I mean, you're running along, and you think about that. If I was a race car driver, a lot of women too, but a lot of guys, especially, they grew up thinking about being a race car driver. I mean, we grew up with the race. We thought about getting out there and racing a car, and I'm not a speed freak. But a lot of guys like to drive fast, and I've never been really into that. I rode with a guy once home from work. He had his car souped up. I don't think we were straight the whole way home. It was sideways. It was late at night. The car, it was a Nova, and he had that thing souped out. Man, I mean, it was great. And we were never straight till we got to my driveway. I mean, I got out. I felt like I'd been on a NASCAR race. I was like, and of course he was doing it a little bit more. To try to make me scare me a little bit, but I was about probably 15 at the time, and he was just a little bit older than me, and he had a great car. But yeah, we like to get out and go. What's the fastest you've ever been, Dean, in a car? Mom's listening now. Yeah, I shouldn't ask you that. Mom's watching.
They say silence is golden.
Silence is golden. Sorry, Mom. I'm just going to move on from that. We're not going to make him answer that question. We'll just ask it this way. Was it more than 100?
Yes.
Okay.
I got to go around Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Okay.
Me and a friend of mine. We got to go around Atlanta Motor Speedway in a race car.
Well, how about that?
And it was fascinating. And the guy told me we went 125.
125. Well, that's about the same. I mean, I've been 130. That's about the fastest I've ever been. If it was faster than that, I was with somebody and I just closed my eyes because I don't remember. But we did it. We always young people. We wanted to see what we could do sometimes, and wasn't as many people on the road. 50 years or 45 years ago for me, or 46 or 44, probably the first time I got out driving by myself. But to be able to just to get out and really open it up. We used to tell everybody, I don't know, people would say this. They would say, you got to blow them out. They won't run good if you don't blow them out, because in carburetors and stuff. So that was our excuse to open it up.
I've heard that. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you I don't at least try, but I'm not going to redline it.
Yeah.
I ain't going to redline my car.
My dad one time, he could tell, he got in his car, he could tell that I had, he just said, boy, he knew. And I said, well, Dad, you got to blow him out every once in a while. And he just shook his head. He knew. I was probably 17, 18 at the time. And he could tell when he cranked it up. He knew because I drove it to the store and while he was there. And he just said, boy, I said, Dad, you got to blow him out every once in a while, And he just shook his head. Now, my youngest son, everybody that's watching this that knows him, knows he's always had a problem wanting to drive fast. The other one, he wouldn't do that, but he does. So that was your top 20, and then we brought in the rest here. And I know that's kind of small. I just want to give results. And, some of these folks, they're not good on points right now. I mean, bad because of the way they finish. So you got to recover fast. I mean, points are important. That's why they try to get back out on the track, Dean.
If you have a bad day at Daytona, Talladega, which is Atlanta Motor Speedway now.
Yeah.
You have a bad day at those, you might as well just cash in your day.
And I didn't get to see why, and maybe that Algier, why he didn't get any points. What was he disqualified for something?
Yes.
I didn't get to see that, so I thought that's what happened.
Parker Klugerman, he won that race Saturday night.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Friday night. Sorry. He won it. It was a good race. And I got on my phone the next day and I seen him disqualified.
Huh.
And I just kept looking. And then I seen that he had been DQ'd for his truck was too low.
Oh, okay.
All these rows.
So he raced, but he raced without. They let him race, but didn't let him gain points.
Well, he raced, after the post-race inspection.
Oh, he failed that. Okay.
Yes, and they measured his truck, and they seen it was too low.
Yeah.
So that gave Corey Haim the win.
Wow. So yeah, you get into these races like that. You got your dip of the truck race and the second race, and then you got the big race, and so you look at that. When you look at that, and I know that a lot of times former race car drivers are involved with the inspections, and they get mad, boy, they get mad. But they're always trying something, But they get down, they break that thing apart, and that's the bad thing about winning too is you lose your car.
Yes,
because they want to show it off, and for a while, and because it's won a big race, so it actually gets presented to the public. And you lose your car for a little bit. You don't get to race the same car sometimes. Not always, but I think sometimes that happens. And yeah, but that dreaded, you you've won, but you got to go through that inspection. They're checking how far it is, everything on it. That there's specs all the way down to minute scale, and they got to pass all that.
You can win that race,
Yeah.
and you can go to your hauler and have everything for you. Then at least 2 hours later, you're gonna hear you got fined.
Yeah.
You got disqualified.
Yeah. That there's been some controversial ones like that. Some of them were obvious; they were cheating. There were some that it was debatable whether but rules are rules. But that's why people would say when they pulled into the winner's lane, out the circle and all that, to not jump on the car,
Right?
Because a lot of times they'll climb up there and want to stand on top. They say the crew chiefs cringe when they see that because they don't want anything to happen to that car. That car's got to go through inspection. You don't want to go get up there jumping up and down. Sometimes they're like, don't. It's like a jinx thing, Don't mess with this car, because it's got to go through that inspection.
NASCAR will take, whether it's trucks, cars, they'll take the first, second, and third car back to the R&D center to be inspected.
Yeah.
Then they'll just randomly pick one. It could be the very nice car.
Yeah.
It could be the fourth car. It don't matter. They just randomly pick one, take it back to the R&D center to be inspected.
I don't remember what's the craziest thing I ever heard that someone was doing. It seems like there was, this has been a long time ago that somebody was, because you're always wanting more fuel, and they violated they broke the rules. I don't remember who it was, but they violated also a huge safety rule, and they had tried to put gas in a tube or something, just enough to douse it would go a lap or two.
I remember that.
And boy, did they get hit hard. I mean, because it's dangerous. You could have caught a fire or whatever out. It's breaking the rules, but it's a huge safety violation because of the wreck you could have, and that gas could go flying. I mean, they do a lot to keep that in that tank. And they were trying to get a little edge on that because you're always trying to figure out how to do the end of the race. You've mapped this to the very end, and usually a caution comes out and ruins it anyway. But that if you can have just a spigot more gas than your competitor,
yes,
it might be just enough at a place like Daytona with the speed you're going on that last turn. If you run out, you're going to cross in. To get as close as you can before it drops out. Or just get over because you don't want any slowdown. But they're always looking for a little advantage.
Well, it's like Sunday toward the end of the race. They told Kyle Busch, "Save me some fuel.
Yeah.
Save me some fuel." You didn't get enough fuel. So that shows to prove right there that you can go in, have the fastest pit time, but you don't always get what you need.
Yeah. And the pressures on those gas fillers, fuel fillers, they got to pack that gas in there. They don't have so much time. They got to get that in there. That's a neat device they have. The catch can, it's just forcing that gas into that tank, and they catch it with the excess there. But if that dude is not on his job, that little bit of gas could cost you a race or a lug nut or whatever. The precision of those guys, it's all choreographed. They film themselves. They go out there and they practice and practice and practice, and they are athletes.
They are
absolutely athletes. The way they're on one, if they're doing 4-tire change and gas, and of course they've got some guy reaching over wiping the windshield off and passing a drink out there. The way that the one that gets me is, all of them are interesting to me, but the Jack man is the one that gets me. He's got to hit that exactly right.
Yes.
He's got to get that right side. He's got to get it up, and he has got to hurry back around with that jack to get back under, because they're over there unbolting, and get. As soon as it's off, they're pulling the tires, and that precision of right there, right before. When he drops it. You got to clear that, because you could actually run over the jack. It's a bam bam kind of thing. They practice that, but there has been incidents before where the jack got hit, or it could be the tar guy, and the tar didn't get but 3 bolts on it. They got to bring him back in, or speed off in or 2 or out of the pits, and you get you got to come back in and do a drive through real slow, which would drive you crazy. So the precision of those pit crews is truly amazing. Were there any tar issues for this race? there's sometimes sometimes the race has the tire wear is bad. Where they have to go through so many sets.
I didn't see nothing like that.
I didn't either. But sometimes they're buying tires from people that are already out of the race. Because sometimes they run out. They just run out of tires.
I know last year they tried the soft tire at the. My mind just went blank.
Yeah, you're fine.
At the All-Star race, they tried to do soft tire. Then they said, "Oh, that was good. We're gonna try that on several more tracks."
Yeah,
and their soft tire did good, but you could tell it got soft and it started going down.
Yeah,
they had more pit stops, and I saw one driver Sunday. The tire about got away from the pit crew.
Wow!
But they had to reach over that wall and grab it before it got out of that line.
Yeah, and that's one mistake. Like I said, one little. It doesn't take much. That tire bounces off something. Somebody didn't get it right. It rolls away. That your day is. You can't overcome that, but it makes it real hard. Real hard.
I know last year at the truck race, a whole tire just broke off. Broke
Seems
off.
like I remember that.
And it was real. Because I'm like, what happened?
I was going down the road the other day and I saw something cross over the road and it was in front of me just going down the road. And I thought, what is that? It looked like something out of a movie or something. I just caught it out of my peripheral and I'm just headed straight. And all of a sudden I see something it's spinning and it gets running. It's about, I don't know, 3 car lengths in front of me, maybe 2.5, 3 car lengths. And I look and I thought, what is that? It was a hubcap that had came off, and it was going really fast, but it was right down the center of the lane. And so, but it eventually slowed down. I had to stop and go around it. I didn't want to run over it, break something, especially my tire. But I don't know how fast that person was going, but when that thing broke off, it just came all the way across the lanes and was in my lane. It cut me off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the guy behind me was probably thinking, what are you doing? Why are you stopping? Because from his perspective, he can't see nobody in front of me.
Right.
But as about the time I got stopped, it just fell flat, up with all the little things on it. I didn't want to run over that. So I went around it. He started to go that he saw it, and he went around it, But I've never, in all my years of driving, I've seen them come off and go in the grass. But I've never seen one come off and actually be just going right down the road, the center of the lane, perfectly in the center of the lane, and pretty fast, because I was probably doing 45-ish, 50, and it was outrunning me there for a second. I thought, man, that's something else. But this, and I don't know, have you ever been to a NASCAR race?
Yes.
What track have you been to?
I've been to Atlanta.
Okay, it's a super speedway.
Charlotte.
Okay, another super speedway.
Talladega.
Definitely a super speedway.
Bristol.
Short track. One of the greatest, though, if not the greatest.
We went to Kentucky, but it got rained out.
I always thought that would be a fun track to go to, that Kentucky race. So I thought that would be pretty interesting to do. What of those that you mentioned, what was your favorite and why?
I'd have to say Charlotte, because that's my first race.
Yeah. Yeah, you're always going to remember something like that,
Yeah. And Talladega, I'd have to say that would be my top favorite. Bristol, that's a good track because it don't matter where you sit at Bristol, you can see the whole track.
Yeah, it's a good sight line. So, did you go? My question is, Mom's listening now. Did you go to Talladega the Saturday night before? Or did you just go for the Sunday race?
Just for the Sunday race.
Oh, they talk about those Saturday nights at the Talladega Super Speedway.
Oh, yeah.
We won't talk about what they talk about, but I've had friends that went. I've never been there either. But it's definitely interesting, they say. You don't want to. You probably should stay away. Now, people on maybe the infield with the money people with the big RV, they don't got a problem really. It's down in them campgrounds and everything.
Yes.
It gets wild. I talked to a friend and you know what? you can be surrounded by a lot of fans, and they just stop you. They just stop you in the road, stop you, and make people do things they shouldn't. But Talladega is a whole different thing. I'm not saying it don't go on at other tracks, but Talladega is legendary.
Talladega is animal of itself.
It is totally. It is its own animal. It's totally different than any other racetrack, and it takes. I bet it takes a while to get out of there. I mean, all those people.
It does. It don't matter what track you're at. It don't matter which one. You're going to spend at least maybe 2 hours trying to get out of that track.
Yeah, yeah. Well, on the 23rd, they're at the Ambetter Health 400, the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Atlanta, I think, still has two races at Atlanta.
Yes.
Down at Hampton, Georgia. I've never been in there. You said you'd been to Atlanta.
Yes.
That's a pretty good track.
It is a good track.
They've redid it. Have you been since they redid it?
No, I haven't. I'd like to go. I wanted to go so bad.
It's more of a
super speedway.
I mean, it's a super speedway, but it's more of an oval, I think, or does it have a little bit of a dog leg to it, but slightly? It's a little different. I mean, it's not.
It's a different track.
Yeah.
NASCAR wanted to come in and make up a track that was a small track with a super speedway feel.
Okay.
So they come in Atlanta. They voted on it. They got the nod, and they done it, and it's excellent.
So what do you think about this young man, William Byron, who won the race? He's driving that former, I guess that's the former Gordon car. Yeah, the Gordon car, 24. He's from Charlotte. He's part of that, of course, that Hendrick Motorsports, but he looks like, I mean, he should be pretty strong this year, I would think, with the power plants that they're putting in that thing.
Yes,
that's a top team. So
to win 2 500s in a row, last year and this year.
That's true. He did.
You got to hand it to that boy.
You do have to hand it to him, and so that's a strong start by him. And then Tyler Reddick was second, and he's number the 45 car. And so he's one of the California kids. He's a Cali kid.
Right.
He's not deep south.
No.
He's a good race car driver, though.
Tyler Reddick is the only driver in 2311 that really shows he can drive that car.
Yeah. He's a good driver and a champion and a good guy. So Billy Scott's his crew chief, but so he actually was born the year. Well, he's not much younger than my youngest son, so it's kind of interesting. I feel old. Jimmy Johnson, good job for Jimmy Johnson coming in third.
Yeah.
I know there's controversy a little bit about Jimmy.
I was impressed.
He did.
I didn't think Jimmy Johnson had it in him.
I know, this late in his career and everything, and he's only raced in, I think, just bigger track or certain tracks.
Yeah.
He's already stepped back from full time.
He don't race 4 times like he did.
Yeah, he's only 10 years younger than me. He was born in 75. He's another Cali kid. But, there for a while, he was the sport. I mean, he was the guy.
He was. What other driver can win 5 championships in a row?
Yeah. Amazing career he had. I mean, look, 06, 07, 08, 09, 10, 13, and 16 champion. Amazing career, Hall of Famer, obviously. And but that is impressive. And I know that it's all about push and who's working together at Daytona, but I got to give him credit too. Chase Briscoe, fourth. He was he ended really strong on the speed. He actually was closing. So Chase Briscoe comes in fourth. Nemechek, little Nemechek comes in fifth in that 42 car.
John Hunter Nemechek.
Yeah, John Hunter Nemechek. Good job, young man. So we got Toyotas there. Joe Gibbs Racing, Chase Briscoe. Gibbs has done a good job. Who would have thought when he left pro football as a Hall of Fame coach that he would be where he's at today with racing?
I never thought it. I'm not a football fan. And I'm not gonna tell you I am. But Joe Gibbs is a future Hall of Famer
there's
in
no
NASCAR.
doubt. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I remember people laughing about it when he first went. Like, NASCAR? Like, come on, man. You're a football coach. Well, he's proved them all wrong. And,
He has.
He's done a good job.
Look what he did for the Washington Redskins.
Yeah.
Back years ago.
Yeah.
Look at the championships they had for him.
All right, so we had Chevy wins, 4 Toyotas in a row, and then another Chevy, Alex Bowman, and then a couple of Fords, Blaney and Cindric, come in at 7th and 8th, and then Algier, Chevy, 9th, and then Chris Boucher, Ford, 10th. So 3 Chevys, 2 Fords, and 4 Toyotas make up your top 10. And then another Chevy, Michael McDowell, Eric Jones, Toyota, Daniel Suarez. I saw a couple of interviews with him before race. Chevy, another Chevy, and there's your boy Chase Elliott at 15. So since he is your Ray, you like Elliott. What happened for him that he didn't finish in the top 10? What, from your perspective, was it just the way the draft worked? Or
yes, the draft can be your friend and it can be your enemy at the same time.
Yeah.
If you get in the middle, you're going to go backward.
Yeah.
And you better have a buddy with you.
Yeah, so it's all about who's working with each other. Ty Gibbs, Toyota 16th. He's another young driver. Riley Herbst, 17th, Toyota. There's Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Chevy, 18th. Justin Hawley, 19th, Chevy. Kyle Larson. I kind of thought he would be higher up the list. He's usually a pretty strong driver.
Yeah, he is. Out of the Hendricks camp.
Yeah.
I'd have to go out on a limb and say Chase Elliott would be the first.
Yeah.
Kyle Larson second. William Irons third.
Okay.
Bowman very last. Because Bowman don't show me nothing.
Yeah.
I thought when him and Byron came in, I had Bowman coming up strong.
Yeah. Well, and it's hard. It's hard sometimes to find your way. When you're with those caliber drivers, that can be tough. But when you're on a great team, you're on a great team, and so. Cluster, 21st, Ford. Corey LaJoy, 22nd, Ford. Austin Dillon, a little low for him, 23rd in a Chevy. The Hamlin man, Denny Hamlin, 24th in a Toyota. Cody Ware, Ford, 25th. Brad Keselowski, I'm sure he wasn't happy. He was a lap down. These two, Ware and Keselowski, started those with a lap down in a Ford. Todd Gilliland, if I can say that right, Ford, 27th. Noah Gragson, Ford, 28th. Bubba Wallace, Toyota, 29th. They was talking about how good he might be in this race.
I thought he would do better.
And he was 4 laps down. So Gragson was 3 laps. Bubba Wallace 4 laps. Carson Hosfer 5 laps down. Chevy, Christopher Bell 6 laps down. 31st, we're getting on the backside of this. Toyota, Ryan Preece, 32nd in a Ford, 6 laps down as well. Then 8 laps down was Shane Van Gisbergen in a Chevy. And then Kyle Busch, wow, 15 laps down.
Yeah.
Caught up in the wrecks, I guess. But
he did.
Chevy, 34th. That's and Logano, 35th, 16 laps down. Ford. That knocked out some really big talent there.
Oh, yes. That's to be expected.
That's always Daytona, though.
Yes, a Talladega.
Stay out of trouble, as
yes,
they say.
Yes.
Some like to lay back and not be out front. They know it's coming, and they like to lay back and try to stay, away from the fray, as they say.
But that's what William Byron did, Tyler Reddick did, and Jimmy Johnson did.
Yeah.
When that wreck happened at the very last of the race, it happened in turn 3, and they just turned it on. They went up, to the front.
Well, that's the name of the game. Hanging around and being there at the end. Zane Smith, 36th. Josh Perry, 37th. They were 90-plus laps down. Martin Truex Jr., very tough day for him in Toyota, 130 laps down. You get back out and you race what you can. Helio Castroneves, Chevy 39th, Ross Chastain 40th in the Chevy. Both these were 131 laps down. And the Dinger, 159 laps back. AJ Allmendinger in the Chevy 41st. Oh, what a bad day for him. But
Helio Castroneves. I thought he would do better.
yeah, he's a good driver.
He is a good driver,
and has raced in other types of racing. He's I would have thought he would have done better too. So interesting though. There's your Daytona 500, and I know you're looking forward to next week, and I am too, or this week rather, or I guess it would be next week if we think about Sunday start of a new week. But some of these stars they got to get back at it pretty quick.
Yes, they do. Yes,
the point you cannot we know what's going to happen at Daytona, but the consistency usually rises to the top, and all those that usually are pretty consistent about top 10, top 15 finishes will probably be back there. If somebody has a wreck or blows up or something, it's going to be a killer for them trying to race for that championship. But it's a long season, a lot of races, and I look forward to being here with you all year.
I do too. I
hope you enjoyed. I hope you out there enjoyed. I hope you had fun. And it is the racing hour. We're going to go here for just a couple of more minutes, and it's just the initial show, and we're just getting going. So look for more things that will pop up on the screen, and we're getting used to working together. Dean's never been on a podcast, so he is now. We're kind of sitting in the dark over here. It got a little. I turned my lights back a little bit. It was a little bit too much light, but we might need to add some. So if it's a little dark, that's why. We're setting up a new studio, and I'm still working out some of those things. We do have lights on in here. We're not complete dark, but thanks for watching. Whoever watches this. Dean, it's a lot of fun to talk about racing. I remember, at work we used to have a fantasy league, NASCAR league, and what we drew drivers every week, recording. We pulled all the top 20, and we just dropped numbers in a hat, whatever position you got, that was your driver for the week. And one of the biggest wins I ever had was old Ernie Irvin, and he pulled out one, late, and I'll never forget how excited I was for that. You had to work on Sunday anyway. You didn't like that, but the fact you got to listen to a race was always cool. When you go to the races, do you have the radios you wear to listen to the teams or something?
No. I got hearing trouble anyway.
Yeah.
So I wear earplugs and earphones.
Okay. Yeah. What's the loudest track, or does it matter?
Bristol.
Bristol's the loudest because you're right on top of it?
Yes.
Thunder, what do they call that? Thunder
Valley.
Thunder Valley, yeah. And I know, you got to be able to feel that. I've never been to a race. I've just always watched them on TV, but I can imagine what that feels like.
At Bristol, like I said, no matter where you sit, you got to feel the vibrations. You got to feel it.
Do you ever get pit passes? You ever done that?
No, I haven't.
Go down. I know all that's expensive. I guess it's hard to go and not buy something too. You got all the souvenir sellers and all that. They got the shirts and the hats and I guess anything and everything you want. What was the cost for your ticket generally when you went? Do you remember? Because I know they're at one time. They're probably a lot higher now, but I remember back when I was thinking about going, it was about $65, and that was up in.
Off the top of my head right now, the highest we paid, I'm going to say like $135.
Yeah. Okay. They pack. Those super speedways, they're packing over 100,000 there. So that's a lot of people. So there's a lot of different kinds of tickets. Some of them do have family sections. I know that, where they don't. It's supposed to be families, non-alcohol are there, and all that. So because people do get a little, toasted.
Yes.
A little mouthy.
Oh yeah.
When you were there, did your driver ever wreck early?
Yeah.
Did you leave after you did? Oh, good for you.
No.
I have seen so many people. It's like, back when Dale Earnhardt was racing, if Dale wrecked, third of the or more of the stadium would leave of the racetrack. They would go. It's like, it's over now.
I'm not that way. I'm not. Even if I'm watching at home and Chase wrecks out, I just continue watching it. I'll pick somebody up to pull for.
Cool. A couple more questions I'll have, and then we'll close this edition. And we're going to pack a lot of stuff into these shows as we go. But I was thinking, when you were there at the racetrack, which one create, like I know on the super speedways you get that dust cloud that comes with it, the rubber and all that stuff. Which one was, do you think of the ones you went to was the worst for that, according to where you were sitting, that you just got inundated with all that? If they picked up, just crud around the track as they're doing 195 miles an hour.
I'd have to say Talladega. If I got to pick one.
Yeah. Well, I could see that. And what's the worst wreck you've seen live? Like, do you remember one that just stood out? Like somebody just went to flipping and end over end or anything like that? When you're like a Talladega, you said Charlotte and Atlanta. Does one stand out that you saw? I mean, you go to a wreck, that's what everybody waits for. You go to a race, excuse me, and everybody's waiting on a wreck.
I cannot pick one. I mean, Talladega, yeah, there's a cars flipping there.
Yeah.
But I can't just pick one. They're all.
What do you say to the people who say it's not interesting, they're just driving in a circle? What do you say to that? Because I've heard that, and I'm like, well, there's all the ins and outs of a race. It's down to minute detail. I mean, all the things a driver has to do and a crew chief and a crew. There's a lot of drama in a race. They think they're not just driving in a circle. I mean, they're driving at super speeds on those.
If you can sit in that car at least 4 hours, you're working your feet, you're working your hands, you're working your head.
Yeah,
you're working your eyes. That it's a sports event.
Yeah,
these guys are athletes.
Yeah, they are. You took the words out of my mouth. They are athletes, and you have to stay. You got to stay in shape. You got to be sharp of mind. And I think that's what happens. I'm just going to say this as a statement, but for drivers who have kind of gotten late in their career, maybe they don't win as much. Some of it, not always, some of it is just that maybe they don't have the best stuff. But some of it is maybe you lose just a little bit of nerve. That you think about the family at home, the grandkids or whatever. And if you ever think about that, you're kind of done when you start thinking about going in that turn at 190 at Daytona or Talladega or something. I mean, because one little pebble, one little blown tire, whatever, that could be it. So
you got these drivers out there. Kyle Busch.
You just throw him right up there at the top.
Yeah.
Kyle Busch.
Yes. Because that's the first thing you think about.
Yeah.
And Kevin Harvick. And all the other drivers that's got kids and family. And their kids are coming up watching them. They're going to look back and they're going to say, why am I doing this for? Why am I going this fast for? And you're not going to see them go up front no more.
Yeah.
Their career is about over.
I hear you. Yeah. I mean, it's the one thing that never changed about Dale Earnhardt is he was always the one willing to put it the hardest in the corner. I believe that. I don't think he ever pulled back, let up a little bit. Dale Jr. did because he had the concussions and stuff, and he started thinking about life and everything. His daddy never did. And not many have that to that level.
Dale Jr., he tried.
He did
He tried to go to be like his dad, but there was no comparison. There was no... It's like comparing steak to bologna.
Yeah.
There was no comparison to junior and senior.
Yeah. There is no comparison. I mean, it really is. It wasn't fair to him. He did some great racing. He didn't take it as serious early on. He was kind of the party boy, but then he kind of buckled down. He became a great ambassador for the sport.
Then you look at Kyle Petty and Richard Petty.
Yeah,
no comparison there.
No comparison. I did think there was a great comparison between Bobby and Davey Allison.
Yes.
Davey Allison was a heck of a driver.
Yes.
And that start. But you look at Elliott. I mean, that's a good comparison there.
Yeah.
So these. Again, you got the teams, and you got 3-car, 4-car teams or whatever, and it's all about working together. And some people don't like that, but that's just the world we live in. It's not a one team. No, very few have just one, and they're. But I will say this: the Wood brothers are still getting it done. In fact, I think they waved the green flag for the race.
Yeah. Yes.
59? They've been racing since 59 or something like that. The Wood brothers. I love their stuff. And I know they haven't won like they used to, but I give them props. They haven't gave up, and they keep pushing forward as hard as they can. Sponsorship is always hard, especially in times we're living. We'll just have to see, how that shakes out. It's really hard to field a team. There's so much cost in it.
Oh, it is.
And
Because you got Lowe's that backed out. You got Home Depot that backed out.
They did.
You've got all these other companies that's backed out.
Yeah.
And then nobody will take their place.
Yeah, and if you don't have sponsors, you don't have a race. I mean, it's just so expensive for those cars and the preparation, the engines, the crews, and all that stuff. So maybe with all these young drivers, maybe we'll see a resurgence of the sport and the sponsorships. I know that's tough. Maybe with President Trump showing out. Showing out by being there and showing up is what I meant to say. I'm just saying maybe that people will jump on board with that. It becomes fun again to people that maybe have quit on racing. A lot of race fans walked away.
Yeah.
They didn't like some of the things that NASCAR was doing. They didn't like some of the changes that were going on. And there was a lot of people that I talked to that went for 25 years to multiple races, some to every race. Some were that eat up with it, and they quit. They just stopped going because they didn't like what was going on. I don't know what the numbers are, but I know for a while NASCAR's numbers struggled to fill stadiums.
It has. It still does.
What was the Daytona crowd like? Do you remember? Did you get a sense of that? I did. I just got to glance some, and I'm sorry. There was a lot going on with our podcast, but I did get to watch a little. But I didn't get a sense of the crowd or where it was at.
They said it was a sellout crowd.
Okay, good.
But I didn't see it. I didn't see the sellout.
It might have been corporate bought the tickets,
and
to make it a sellout.
I mean, when the cars went around the track, you can help but look in the stands, and it wasn't. I'm like, this is sellout.
Yeah, that's sad when because that's the biggest race.
And then
that is the Super Bowl of racing.
And then after the rain ended, and they went green flag again, you could see more empty seats.
Well, I'm sure some people left. That happens. I don't know why you waste that money. I'd stay another night if I had to. I ain't let my tickets get wasted like that. If they're going to run it, I would be there. But some people may have had, a lot of things can happen. And so, but yeah, well, good, man. Hey, it's good to have you on the Southern Fried Racing Hour and with Dave and Dean. And we're going to have fun this year. We're going to introduce some stuff. We're just getting started. This is just our introductory show. I know we get in the weeds too much or in the details too much, but we want to do an overview and talk about the race, a little bit about next week. But starting this week, we're gonna drill in and we'll probably even talk back up and talk a little more about Daytona, but because that sets the narrative for the season, and I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. So stay with us.
This is gonna be a good, exciting season, I hope.
Well, good. Are you as nervous now as you was?
No, I'm not.
Good. He's settled in. Settled in. We get our lighting set a little bit more. We're kind of relaxed here. We're just sitting back in the shadows.
Yeah, yes.
Coming to you from the shadows tonight of the Southern Fried Racing Hour.
Yes.
And folks, we're gonna have shirts made up. We're gonna have our racetracks as well, but it won't be like the traditional. So just wait and see. We're gonna start announcing that next week. And I had to get with Dean first, but we're going to be talking about that. We're going to have our Southern Fried Racing 500 in different cities, and it might not be cities you're used to hearing. So that's a little hint. We're going to have fun with that.
Yeah, we are.
We got to get some logos made up, but we're going to be talking more about that this next week, and we'll get the schedule up and everything, and later on we'll have some shirts made or something off of it. So thanks for being here. We salute you here at the Southern Fried, and we're going to try to get this thing closed and out of here, and let's see if I can get the thing playing and
how good
set
folks.
The outro. Yeah, we're glad.
I enjoyed it being here.
I did too. All right. Good night, folks, or good afternoon, or wherever you're coming from when you watch this. Take care.
Well, once again, it's time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seat. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast Show.